Welcome to the Piece by Piece Autism Podcast with your hosts, Angie and Christy. They've worked 25 years to help Alec get the most out of life. Let them tell you how they're doing it.
Hey there, and welcome back to Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We are continuing our Sibling Series today. As we know, siblings play such an important role in a family with an autistic child, and Christy is going to introduce today's guest.
We're so happy to have Andrea Jensen Semidey with us today, who is Alec's oldest sister. She lives in Allen, Texas with her husband and 4 kids. She works in finance as a corporate attorney. She graduated from SMU with a degree in advertising and history. She knows a ton about Russian history, which blows my mind because, I don't know anything about history, and I will tell you that right now. She graduated from law school in New York City at Yeshiva University. She enjoys horseback riding, yoga, running, Legos, cooking, baking, and reading, and only wishes for more time to do any one of those things. She makes the most beautiful custom gingerbread houses from scratch every year. We've been doing that since she was a little kid, and she loves doing that and is going to take over the family tradition of doing that. She and her family are huge soccer fans. I mean, huge. They all have matching outfits that they wear on Arsenal game days, and they are huge Arsenal supporters. So they love football. And we're trying to get used to calling it that. Welcome to the show, Andrea.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's great to have you here. We want to just jump right in to our subject. Of course, Andrea had a lot of years growing up with our dear Alec Jensen, who is 28 years old and has severe nonverbal autism. And he's the subject of our show. And so we're going to start right off by asking Andrea if she would describe for us, in her opinion, what are 3 adjectives you would use to describe your dear brother, Alec?
Oh, 3. Okay, I have 6. Can I do 6?
Oh, yeah, you can absolutely do 6. Okay. Yeah, 6 is even better than 3.
Alec holds multitudes, All right, so my 6 adjectives for Alec: smart, sassy, shady, determined, tenacious, funny.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay. Shady?
He's shady. He's the shade assassin,
Wait, what?
he makes these little remarks, like he makes these little comments where you're like, wait, do you just shade me? You just say something shady to me? But he does it so,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is a new one. I am like, okay, wow. Cool.
It's like being
cleverly,
I love that. Kind of cleverly snarky,
Yes. Cleverly snarky. Okay, that makes sense to me. That's
kind of what shady. Shady is just a more concise way of saying that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for explaining that to this boomer over here.
Well, Andrea, you are the oldest sibling, so it is most likely that you would have memories of Alec when he was a baby, and even at the time that he got diagnosed at such a young age. So you were more of a teenager at that time. What can you tell us about those memories?
Well, I have memories of him. I was 10 when Alec was born. So,
okay.
I was 8 when Alec was born, and I was 10 when he was diagnosed. And so I have pretty good memories of him as a baby, doing things like funny things. Like when he was learning to walk, he would like be on his tippy toes, and he would make these crazy responses to things on TV. Like he would scream into the TV, like, and have uproarious laughter at the TV when someone was screaming on the TV, things like that. And then when he was diagnosed, that's when I was 10, and we were living in Lubbock at the time. And I didn't really understand what that meant, but I just understood that he was different and he was special. And so my memories of him was just that we had this very sweet, touching relationship, and that I figured out ways to communicate with him that we're not talking. And as a teenager, I remember kind of like understanding better what his limitations were. and feeling frustrated sometimes at just like, why him and why is this happening? And I had a very close relationship with him all throughout that time, and even really wanted to like, I wanted to participate in his therapy. I wanted to know his therapist. I wanted to like be a part of his life and his, therapy and his journey, I guess you could say.
Yeah. How was love with him different?
People throw around the term unconditional love a lot. It's a grossly overused term. And there's very little love in this world that is truly unconditional. And I can say that I have unconditional love for Alec, and I have since he was a baby. I remember even telling my grandma Nana that before my oldest child was born, I was so worried I wouldn't be able to love my child like that, because it was such a different love that I had from most other people, even people in my own family sometimes. Um, I that was really the only love that I knew that was that unconditional kind of love. I I had such a strong connection with Alec that even when I was going through very difficult times as a teenager, and I felt very angry with a lot of my family, I still had a connection to Alec. And I've been looking through old journals and things like that from when I was a teenager. And he was the only family member for some like years, months and years, that I would talk about in a positive way. And I
Thank
seem
you,
to
Andrea. I
understand.
appreciate
Sorry,
that.
sorry, Mom. Things the tides have turned. Okay, the things have changed.
No. I know it
but
has.
20
I know. You
years
were a
ago, it
teen.
was.
Yeah. Anything can happen with teen girls and
Oh, no.
moms. We know.
have one of
Sorry,
those.
Angie.
I have one of
Sorry,
those.
Angie.
Yeah,
That
well,
sweet little
I've
Molly will turn on you.
yes, no, I've got my karma coming, but I did seem even back then, I really seemed to understand that I would always be tied to our family as long as Alec was around. In the spring of 2007, I was a high school junior and wrote in my journal a list of things that made me feel alive. And among them was talking with Alec. The other
Aw, that's
things,
sweet.
it was very sweet. I was very touched to read that again, 20, more than 20 years later, or almost 20 years later. And I think it's a lot of what this is because being around Alec just makes me feel more spiritually whole. It makes me feel closer to God. I feel connected to him even when we're far apart. Right now, he's in Utah, I'm in Texas. And I've, really been blessed by that relationship. It's just a very special, strong connection that transcends time or space.
That's awesome. What about life with Alec as part of your family growing up? How did he impact the family dynamic?
I think in a lot of ways, he made us all closer. I think that there's, at least for me, I probably would not have the relationship now that I have with my parents and my siblings that I do, because Alec gave us this higher purpose where we needed to stay together. We were going to be bonded forever because he would be the thing that binded us together.
Love that.
And I think there was obviously upside and downside to that. I think obviously my mom especially was very preoccupied with things going on with him, and his treatment and his therapy was very all consuming. It was a 24/7 365 kind of thing, and that's sometimes challenging. But I think in the end I benefited more than I lost out on, so in the long run.
I like that perspective. Thank you for sharing that. I'm at the point, Andrea, where I'm sure I've said this to you before, that we're at this point in his development where we're really able to look back and say, "Yay, we're grateful for things that we did 25 years ago, and for the impact that now it has on our family and for him having a happier life because we chose to hit it so hard when he was younger."
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about your cute little kids that you have, they're adorable, 4 little little kids there that are just full of personality and energy and all that. How has Alec, as a sibling, impacted how you respond to your own children or how you're raising them?
There's several ways that Alec has had an impact on the way that I've raised my own kids and my relationship with my own kids. One is that he's introduced me to ABA therapy techniques, which have been extremely valuable, even though none of my children are on the spectrum. I have used ABA techniques, especially with my son when he was younger, and it has been probably one of the most effective parenting techniques that I've been able to use to deal with problematic behavior and prevent problematic behavior.
Yeah.
And I have 4 kids that are 10 and younger who can all go to a 5-star restaurant. They can go sit in an airplane. They can go, I mean, they can do anything, be anywhere, and behave themselves. And there's a lot that goes into that, but those behavioral techniques that I learned through Alec's therapist and through you, Mom, have helped me so much to be able to make that happen. So there's that portion of it. I think also Alec has given them such a great example of loving and being accepting and being understanding of people who are differently abled than we are. And they grew up in a largely homogenous population where there was not a lot of tolerance for things that deviated from the mean. And I think all of 4 of my kids are much more kind and accepting naturally toward a person who does not fit into that box because of their relationship with Alec and getting to know him, and that being very important to me. My 3 daughters in particular are very close with Alec. They spend a lot of time, the twins spend a lot of time up in Utah with Alec.
And they're so sweet with him. They're so sweet with him.
And they just love him. My Meadow says to me, "Oh, Uncle Al is my best friend." And it's very sweet. And I think that's a relationship that helps him and helps them. And it's also just taught me so much, like watching the sacrifices my parents have made has taught me so much about doing that for my own children, and that the time that you put in is worth it, even though it's painful, just like we were just talking about, things you did 25 years ago, like how grateful we are now, even though it was very painful at the time. Yeah. So I've been able to have that perspective from the other side, and it's really helped me in raising my kids.
That's great. I really appreciated that. I was able to show Alec a little handmade birthday card that Lolly had sent, and she made herself and Alec have heart-shaped heads and these big eyes and big eyelashes, and she put an adorable little heart-shaped pair of headphones on him because he loves to wear headphones and listen to music a lot, and it fit on his huge heart-shaped head. And it was just all of the things that she wrote phonetically on the card we were just all reading it and just loving all the sweet oozing out of that card. It was just that you could feel the love. And I know she also has an affinity for elderly people.
Yeah,
and
she
so
does.
She just, and I can't help but think that you're probably right. I mean, the things that they've learned from loving Alec and knowing how different he is from them, that it makes all that easier,
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Were you fearful ever that you would have an autistic child yourself?
I might have at one point been worried about that, but none of my children were planned. So I didn't have any worry about that while I was trying to get pregnant, because I've never tried to get pregnant. And then I had never really thought about having kids. So I hadn't thought about it when I was younger. And while I was pregnant, I was mostly just in shock that I was pregnant. So I think I think I wasn't too worried about it. The time that I would probably have the most worry about it was after my kids were born. I remember that my mom had described Alec when he was in the hospital feeling different than her three older children. And so I was always very aware, like that first time I held them, like, okay, do they feel different than the last one? And I never did have that feeling. And then I just was always kind of on the lookout for things as they were getting older. But I think God knew I was going to have a lot of challenges with having children, and maybe he just decided that was not a challenge I was going to have, and my challenges would be other things. So I think I just had a lot of faith in that.
What are you most proud of in regards to Alec?
I am so proud of Alec for so many reasons. The things I'm the most proud of with him and just in his life overall is, first of all, the positive attitude he takes. And I know that didn't come easy and that didn't come naturally, but he's really never taking a victim mentality. And we kind of exist in a world where it's very easy to fall into that kind of mentality. And he has a lot of reasons why he could. And he has chosen not to. I also am really proud of the way that my family has handled things. I'm really happy that my parents have stayed together and been able to stay strong. And I know that that's such a challenge for parents of children with special needs. And I am very proud of them that they've been able to do that. I am very proud of the fact that they've been able to split up responsibilities, and that my dad, being a person who is at work most hours of the day, has allowed most decisions to be deferred to my mom. I think that that's a hard thing to do, to relinquish that control, but I think it's been very important for Alec long term, that not every single decision is tied up in bureaucracy of the two parents agreeing and coming to a consensus on everything.
Interesting.
I'm also just really proud of how much Alec can do. Like I was talking about, being proud of my own kids being able to go to nice restaurants and go to the theater and go on planes and stuff. And Alec can do all of that too. And that's not an easy thing for him. It doesn't come naturally. I mean, that doesn't come naturally to like not special needs adults,
Yeah.
Correct. So the fact that he can do that so well, I'm so proud of him. And I know there's been a lot of people, including the two of you, who have made that happen. And it just makes me really proud, and really, just adds another layer of things that make it possible for us to have a connection. Like the fact that he can get on an airplane and come home and come to Texas. I'm very proud of that. It's very impressive.
I love your take on all that. That was cool. Your take on that. I've loved hearing Todd's viewpoint, and I love today hearing yours, because it really is. It's one of those things, I think, where life gets going so fast that you don't have time to sit and reflect on what have the last 25 years been for you, and how do you see all this big process that we've been through. But it's really nice. Thank you for taking the time to do this, Andrea. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me about it.
So Alec is nonverbal. He communicates on his tap board, but in all of the years and all of the therapies and things that were given a try, did you ever hold out hope that Alec would verbally speak? And was that important to you that he talk?
That question has a different answer depending on what age you're asking.
Okay.
For a very long time, that was a deeply painful thing to me, that he couldn't talk. And I prayed so hard and I hoped so hard. And I was so angry that he couldn't talk. I couldn't believe that this person who was so smart and who had such a bright light, that why can't he talk? It just didn't, it didn't make sense to me, you know? And as I got older and I kind of understood that this is just, you know, we all have things to deal with, and this is just one of his burdens. And I kind of made peace with that. And I realized, I mean, obviously, the older and older he got, I just knew that statistically speaking, it was just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And now he has this great way to communicate, which has really, I think, softened that burden for him and for everyone around him. But there are occasionally times I will get still like kind of emotional about it and sort of like think like I just don't get like this just not fair.
Yeah.
Like I remember in 2014 that movie came out, The Theory of Everything, and there was this line in it. I saw it in the movie theater. I was living in New York at the time, and I'm in the theater and I just start bawling, like crying like crazy because there's this line in it where they're asking, okay, what is Stephen Hawking like? What is this going to be like? Is he going to be able to talk? And they said, well, he'll have thoughts in his head. It's just no one will hear them. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, like that. We take talking for granted. We don't think about how important that is, like in our day to day life, because I don't have to worry about it. And so I know that that made me really emotional. And then a few years later, in November 2022, my grandma Nana again, she passed away and had a funeral service, and I inherited my dad's like matter of fact, death is inevitable kind of attitude. So I wasn't really emotional. I loved her dearly. I love her dearly. But I really wasn't emotional about it. It was time. And then all of a sudden I actually, my mom, I think, asked me to say Alec's like eulogy in the service. And he said something about, oh, like, don't worry, Nana, like I'll tell you when we see each other again. And that was the only time I cried in that entire funeral service, because I thought about, oh, like he is still aware of it. Like he still knows that that's something that like is a burden that he has to bear, and like how hard that must be for him. So, I still have a lot of sympathy and empathy for that. And I still hate that he can't do that. And, but I've made peace with it. And I think he has too, as much as he can.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I think it's important to note here that he prepares when he's going to speak in church, and he does the preparation for that. Usually with Angie, who's done it, and it takes him a while to do it because he's coming up with about a good meaty paragraph full of things he wants to say, and then he goes back and edits it over the course of as much time as we have. I mean, this was a funeral. It was done several weeks after she died, so he had some time to do it. But I remember when he said that line, when I read the line, and it was really, really touching to me as his mom, and knowing how hard he's worked to try to get words, and that he has so many thoughts. And he yesterday at our team meeting, he picked up his letter board, Andrea, about, well, they quit counting. Aubrey said she quit counting. She was the person holding his board and helping him, and his scribe basically. And she said, I stopped counting at 10 because we would say something and then he would pick up his board and he would have a thought about it. And it was just so sweet because he does have those thoughts and he does want to share them. So anyway, thank you for that, because that was really great to hear and be reminded of. What do you think your biggest concern for Alec was or has been as he's been growing up?
I think obviously the talking is that was a big one when we were younger. And now that, as I said, I've kind of made peace with that. I think I spent a lot of years being very preoccupied and worried about how he would handle missing out on some of those big life milestones, like, graduating, going to college, going to grad school, having a career, marriage, kids. And I think when I was younger, like when we were closer to the time he got diagnosed and when he was a young child, I had held out hope that he just wouldn't be aware of that. And that and obviously as he got older and he got more capable of communicating, we all know that he's very, very much aware of everything going on around him. And he is aware that those are things that just won't be possible for him. And I think that's been a really hard, I mean, I still worry about that. I still think how unfair that is, that there's certain things that he doesn't get to experience. And then I think there's a lot of great things he does get to experience. And, sometimes marriage and kids and college and all that aren't all they're cracked up to be. So, it's like, he's also kind of avoiding some of the pitfalls and the heartache associated with all that. So
True, Andrea. Oh, that's funny.
Well, what did you think about when he did move to Colorado for his first group home? His first time leaving the nest, so to speak.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great for him. I was very relieved for my mom because she just needed a break. It's too much to be in basically infant mode for 18 plus years. That's why kids get older and you don't have to do that anymore. And she needed a break. He needed, I think, to have some independence. And obviously it was not the right place for him in the end, but I do think it was the seed that gave us the life that he has now and gave us some of the ideas for what to do and what not to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Andrea, did you ever have any sibling guilt? And if you had sibling guilt, how did you handle it?
I have had sibling guilt at every single age that Alec has been and that I have been.
Oh, wow.
I probably have more guilt now than I've ever had because he is far away. And right now I feel guilt because I get busy with life and kids and hair and cars and all the things that you deal with in life. And I would like to see him more and be around him more. And it makes me feel good to be around him. And I don't want him to feel like, and I do worry sometimes that he feels like I have forgotten about him because I don't visit him as much as I should. And so I feel a lot of guilt about that. I also feel a lot of guilt about the fact that why wasn't it me? Or why wasn't it someone else? I don't understand still. And I never could understand this as a kid. And I know that there is no logical answer for it, but I still feel so much guilt about why does he have to be afflicted with these certain things, like not being able to speak and not being able to shower by himself and having epilepsy? And why does he have all these things when there's so many bad people I see that have all these great things happen to them? I have a lot of guilt over that. I have guilt over the fact that he's aware of that. And I think one of the things that I've had to do as an adult and as I've gotten more mature and better at handling it is just try to not think about it, because there really just isn't much I can do about it. I can love him and be there for him and participate in his life as much as I possibly can, but I cannot change the way the world works, and I can't change the fact that this was his burden, to bear. And whether that's right or fair or not, life isn't fair. And that's.
Are you mad at me for taking him to Utah?
Oh, no. I think that was one of the best things you've ever done as a parent. I think that was the exact right thing to do. And I think it also did give him, I was discussing milestones and missing out on that. Well, this gives him that sort of college experience. He's around a lot of kids that are in college. He's not with right under mommy all the time. I think that's good for him. I think it's good for you. So no, I'm not mad about that at all. I'm mad at myself that I don't have more capacity to be present in his life more.
Let me remind you, though, that you do the payroll.
I do the payroll.
And we didn't mention that in the bio.
I do his
You do
payroll.
his, so you think of him every 2 weeks, the first and
I
the 15th.
do. I do think of him every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Yep.
I do. And I I have appreciated, Mom, that you have said to me, oh, this seems like maybe you should not take this on. I work about 80 hours a week in office, and then I have the 4 little kids, and that's why you, Mom, were trying to kind of give me an out. And I said to you, no, it is very important to me because this is something that I can do.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes I've got to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's okay. Cause like I need to do that. Like for myself, I need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
was going
know,
to say probably more for
like,
yourself to
yeah,
know that you
yeah,
are doing what you
yeah.
can do. So it's appreciated.
And I do like to be involved in, like, if something were to happen, like, I mean, we hope that won't happen, but if something were to happen to either of you, and like, I think it would just be good also to have another family member who knows about how some of this stuff works.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think for that benefit as well. But yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
that is for me to, maybe absolve some of my guilt and say, I am doing what I can. And it's very important to me to keep doing that, even though it's a small thing.
Yeah, that kind of leads us into our next question too of like what, if any, pressure do you feel about Alec's future?
I don't think I feel pressure necessarily. I think my parents have both done, my mom in particular, has done a very good job to not ever make us kids feel pressure. I have some concern over what happens to Alec when the inevitable time comes that my mom cannot care for him full, or can't be the main adult in charge of his care, because that time will come. And there are a lot of people who love Alec and people who can participate in his life, but I am concerned about particularly how my siblings and I will deal with it. I'm obviously, we know I'm one of 4 siblings, and so I have 2 other siblings. We're all very different people. We grew up the same way. We're very different people. My sister and I are very different types of parents. And that's caused us, the 3 of us, to be at odds at different times in our lives. And it just worries me and concerns me about how that will affect Alec's life. And I just hope and pray and like that we will all be able to get on the same page and be able to do the right things for him. And by the way, I do not think either of my siblings would do something against Alec like that. That's not what I mean. I just mean, I think sometimes our approaches are different. And I just hope that we can be on the same page.
Yeah, just that your coordination will be easy.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
and that it won't,
Yeah.
there won't be contention or disagreements or anything like that.
Yeah. And that's just with my siblings. I mean, there's other people like Angie, obviously, and
Yeah.
other, family members and people that would participate in that. And so I just hope that that can all go smoothly, that one, we will all know the right things to do, and that 2, we can all be in agreement and on the same page about getting those things done.
Yeah.
Those are my concerns, really.
Yeah, that's a big concern. And I was just thinking about when you were saying that, just thinking about how my sibling relationships have kind of evolved over time. They kind of ebb and flow, and hoping that as you 3 get older, that you'll continue to evolve in a way that kind of flows into helping Alec get to the next part of life. So it's kind of weird to switch the gears real quick. There's no good segue, but do you ever feel like punching him in the face, Andrea? Do you ever just get frustrated with him?
I do feel like punching him in the face sometimes.
Okay. We don't actually punch him in the face, everybody.
I
don't freak
punch
out.
him in the face.
We do not. I'm talking metaphorically.
Yeah, I don't actually punch him in the face, but I have wanted to several times over the years. And I was just talking to you guys earlier about, that when he was younger, he was just like this sweet little precious guy to me, and he could do no wrong, and he had no impure thoughts or mean thoughts or anything that was not like perfect and positive. And he's gotten older, and as he's been able to communicate better, I know sometimes like he's being a freaking punk, you know? And
Yeah. Yes.
like I never got upset really like with behaviors. I would get more like nervous about behaviors like the stomping and like the hair pulling. I had a hair pulling incident outside of a Fuddruckers once. I can't even go into a Fuddruckers. Well, for other reasons besides that, but I would never go into a Fuddruckers again. Because he pulled my hair so bad, and that kind of scared me and upset me. But no, I mostly want to punch him whenever he's being a little jerk to me. Like one time I had surgery and I was staying at my parents' house when I was in college, and he tapped out that I was lazy. And it's like, I just had surgery. Like know that, like, you're very smart. You know that I'm not lazy. I literally need to be on bed rest, you know? And then,
that sounds like him.
Rude.
He's a little judgmental.
Yeah, he's very judgmental. He can be very judgmental. And I think a lot of times I have to just take it because he is such a pure being. But he also, when I graduated from SMU, he wrote me this sweet little poem, and I wrote in my journal at the time. So this would have been in 2012. I wrote in my journal, I said, he wrote me a sweet poem, albeit with flashes of shade, titled Andrea Graduates. Can I read it really quick? It's a very quick poem.
Yeah.
Of course.
I have time?
Of course.
Okay.
We would love it.
It says, Andrea, you did it. So glad you didn't quit it. You have graduated from SMU, so Dallas is no longer the place for you. Now you're off to New York City. Don't think we will take much pity. Go work hard at law school, make us proud, and don't be a fool. Maybe I can come see you to spend time together. That's overdue. I love you lots, and I'm so proud. Now go be a bright sun ray and not a dark cloud. Love, Alec.
Oh my goodness.
He wrote this. Can you believe he wrote this to celebrate my graduating?
I actually can, because I'm remembering the bubble map that he wrote about you too, Andrea. Made him change.
Yeah. Oh yes, you had to change his bubble. Yeah. I don't even think you told me everything that he wrote on there. I don't even want to know. I probably would fly to Utah and punch him in the face. Not really.
No.
Just kidding.
And Andrea had a bad habit for a few years, and he said that she probably had a black lung.
Oh yeah. I mean, I might. He might be correct.
Oh my God. One of the little bubbles was black lung.
Black
loves
lung.
bags.
Oh my gosh.
And loves this, loves that, goes to SMU, all the different things. It was so cute. But
I think Alec kind of appreciates that I've sort of always been like kind of the black sheep of the family, you know? I think he likes that, and he's kind of put me in that bubble, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, you know?
Okay. Oh man, it's been so fun hearing all this, Andrea. It's like, gosh, I wish we had done this before now. It's fun to hear your perspective on it. It's just like opened my eyes to what your experience was, and it's cool because I know what my experience was, but it's hard to just take the time to sit down and, hash out all these feelings and thoughts. So,
well, and like you alluded to, you guys were all raised in a very similar manner, but you've all got your own personalities and takes and, have all left with these different experiences and interactions that you had with Alec growing up. And it is fun to hear your take. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure. Let's do it again.
You bet. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We would love for your support by spreading the word and sharing the show. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. That's PIECE, Piece by Piece Autism Podcast. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.